The Thunder just answered back not with words, but with a statement win that echoed through the league. On the brink of falling behind 2 games, they didn't just survive. They stormed back, they fought, and they proved they're not just here. For the experience, they're here to chase history. But how did they turn the tables so dramatically? How did they completely flip the script on the Pacers and even the series? Let's break it all down. From the opening tip, it was clear OKC came into Game 2 with a purpose. They didn't just tweak a few things, they made structural adjustments that would shift the entire flow of the game. The first, and most immediate, change. Intensity. From the first possession, every dribble, every screen, every closeout was executed with the kind of urgency you only see from teams that know the stakes. They went back to their defensive roots, rotations were tighter. Help came earlier, and their switches were cleaner than they had been in Game 1. In the first quarter alone, you could see them deny the kind of touches that the Pacers thrived on in their previous win. This time, OKC didn't allow Haliburton to turn the corner easily. Every pick and roll was met with aggressive hedging or smart drop coverage, especially from Chet, who balanced protecting the paint with contesting mid-range shots. And what made their defense special wasn't just the scheme sit, was the execution. Wallace and Dort took turns chasing Haliburton and Seacom around every off-ball screen, refusing to give any space. The Thunder's wings communicated constantly, calling out switches before they even happened. When Indiana tried to create mismatches, by slipping screens or going into quick post-ups, OKC didn't bite. They stayed disciplined, scrambled when needed, but never panicked. That discipline led to forced shots late in the clock, and those stops created transition opportunities, something OKC thrives in. With J-Dub pushing the pace and Giddey facilitating, in space, the Thunder were suddenly in rhythm. Indiana couldn't set their defense, and that's when the floodgates opened. OKC also started to weaponize their depth. Unlike Game 1 where Indiana's bench had the edge, this time it was guys like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins who made an impact. Joe's off-ball movement stretched Indiana's defense, creating wider driving lanes for SGA, who was locked in from the jump. After a quiet start to the series, he came out hunting, attacking closeouts, getting to his spots, and finishing through contact. It wasn't just a bounce-back game. It was a recalibration of identity, but perhaps the most telling moment came late in the second quarter. The Pacers ran their usual double stagger set, trying to free Haliburton for a pull-up 3, but Cason Wallace sniffed it out, fought through both screens, and forced Haliburton to give up the ball. The possession stalled, and the Pacers ended up with a contested step-back mid-range from Nembhard miss. That possession didn't just end a run, it sent a message. You're not getting anything easy tonight. The crowd felt it. The momentum shifted, and the Thunder weren't done yet. As the second half began, the Thunder didn't just hold the lead, they asserted control. Every possession was intentional. Every cut and read was sharper than before. Where Game 1 had moments of hesitation, Game 2 was all about clarity. OKC wasn't just reacting to Indiana's schemes, they were dictating the terms of engagement. And it all started with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This wasn't just a bounce-back performance from SGA, it was a declaration. From the moment the third quarter began, he made it clear. This was his game. With the Pacers loading up the paint to cut off driving lanes, Shai adapted. He started to manipulate the defense with patience, using ball fakes and hesitations to get defenders off balance. Instead of forcing tough finishes, he calmly pulled up from the mid-range or dropped perfectly timed bounce passes to cutting teammates. Indiana tried different coverages. They blitzed him off screen, she split them. They switched, he attacked mismatches. They dropped, he walked into rhythm jumpers. Every decision felt like it was one step ahead of the defense. When the Pacers tried to rotate help over from the weak side, OKC was ready. The ball swung quickly, finding open shooters like Isaiah Joe, who capitalized from deep, or Jalen Williams, who slashed through late closeouts for easy buckets. J-Dub in particular started to become a problem for Indiana. His combination of size, handle, and poise gave him the ability to exploit any soft spots. Whether it was attacking in transition or isolating against smaller defenders, He constantly found ways to score without ever breaking the offense's flow. And when he wasn't scoring, he was facilitating dropping dimes from the top of the key, or the short corner, finding cutters like Dort and Giddey. But this offensive explosion wasn't just from the stars, it was a total team effort. OKC's off-ball movement was relentless. They weren't just standing around spacing the floor. They were ghost screening, cutting backdoor, and setting off-ball pin-downs to free up the corners. The Thunder were making the Pacers guard for a full 24 seconds. And by the end of each possession, you could see it. They were worn down. Chet Holmgren also made a critical shift in the second half. While he struggled to finish inside early in the game, he made his presence felt by spacing the floor. His trail threes punished Indiana's drop coverage, forcing Turner to stretch out and leave the paint exposed. When the Pacers tried to close the gap with a smaller lineup, Chet responded by punishing mismatches inside and swatting shots on the other end. Then came the turning point. Midway through the third, Indiana went on a mini run, cutting the Thunder lead to just 5. The crowd grew restless. It felt like the Pacers might reclaim momentum until SGA took over once again. He calmly walked the ball up, called for an isolation, and buried a tough contested jumper over Siakam. Next possession, he drove middle, drew 2 defenders, and kicked it to Joe for a corner 3-splash timeout Pacers. The camera panned across the OKC bench, no celebration, no wild reactions. Just focus, locked in. That's the difference between surviving and chasing history. By the time the fourth quarter began, OKC had fully taken the air out of the building. Their ball movement was surgical, their spacing flawless, and defensively, they kept Indiana guessing. Every time the Pacers tried to create a mismatch, OKC would scram, switch, rotate. Whatever it took to keep the possession in front of them, it was clear by then. This wasn't just a bounce-back game. It was a warning. As the final quarter tipped off, the tension was electric. Indiana knew what was at stake. Going down 0-2 in this series would be a mountain too steep. And the Thunder? They weren't satisfied with just leading. They wanted to silence every doubt, every whisper that they couldn't respond under pressure. So they turned the intensity up another notch. The fourth quarter began with a defensive stand that set the tone. The Pacers tried to run their early action through Siakam in the post, hoping to draw a quick foul or force a rotation. But OKC collapsed instantly. Chet fronted the post. Wallace dug down from the top, and the weak side rotated before the pass even left Haliburton's hands. Turnover. On the other end, it was back to surgical offense. Giddey, who'd been relatively quiet in the series so far, found his rhythm by playing off the ball. His cuts were timed perfectly with SGA's drives, and when Indiana overhelped, he made them pay with floaters and one-touch assists to corner shooters. It wasn't loud, but it was effective, and then came the run. With around 7 minutes left, the Thunder held a modest 6-point lead. But this is where they separated themselves, not just by scoring, but by controlling every single possession. SGA hit a cold-blooded mid-range jumper to extend the lead to 8. Next play, the Thunder forced Haliburton into a tough contested step-back, and Chet grabbed the rebound in traffic. The Thunder came right back, and this time it was J-Dub attacking a closeout and finishing with authority at the rim 10-point lead. The Pacers were reeling. Indiana responded with their best punch. Siakam got to the line. Nembhard buried a corner 3. Suddenly the lead was back to 5, and the game was up for grabs once more. The arena surged, and for a split second, the energy shifted, but once again, the Thunder Neviar flinched. With 4 minutes to play, they went to their bread and butter, a high screen between SGA and Chet. The Pacers trapped, forcing the ball out of Shai's hands, but he calmly slipped a pocket pass to Holmgren, who hit a wide-open Joe on the wing. And just like that, the Thunder had breathing room again. What made this stretch so special wasn't just the scoring, it was the poise. Every time Indiana threatened, OKC answered. They didn't rush, didn't force. They trusted their reads, trusted their defense, and most importantly, trusted each other. With under 2 minutes to play, the Thunder led by 7. Indiana needed a stop. They switched everything, blitzed the pick and roll, but SGA danced through it all, stepped back, and hit the dagger. A smooth, effortless jumper from the elbow that barely touched the rim. Silence in the crowd. Confidence on the court. The final moments were a formality. Free throws sealed the game, and as the buzzer sounded, the message was loud and clear. The Thunder are not just along for the ride. They're writing their own story. One quarter, one possession, one win at a time. And now, with the series tied, everything resets. It's a best of 5, and both teams know the margin for error is gone. But if this game showed us anything, it's that OKC isn't just chasing a win, they're chasing history.